everyone. I'm Will, and I'm joined with Tattoo Amazon. Today, we're going to be reading an article that Tattoo actually messaged me some time ago, and we're going to read it today. How are you,
Hi,
Tattoo?
everyone. I'm good.
So let's put it up on the screen. So it says, investigation says students at 8 private special education programs are grossly underserved. It was back in March, a couple months back. There's actually a video, so I thought I'd watch the video first so you can read it.
Well, special education services in Connecticut schools. That's the topic of a new report released today.
Yeah, and there's some concerning findings here. In almost 60 pages, various agencies say the state's most widely used special ed program has severe and several deficiencies. NBC Connecticut's Dave Peck joins us live from the Capitol with the details. Dave?
Hey guys, the Office of Child Advocate made it very clear this report was not an indictment of all special education programs in the state. It was instead a close look at the High Road Schools program and where there may be deficiencies with that particular program.
This is a report about educational deficiencies for some of the state's most vulnerable students with disability.
A multi-year review calling for urgent improvements to the state's special education system.
Over the last few years, that the program that they were in frequently didn't have credentialed teachers, frequently didn't background check staff that were working directly with children, frequently were not reporting to school districts that they were not in compliance.
The Connecticut Office of Child Advocate and Disability Rights Connecticut focused on High Road Schools, a state-approved private special education program used by 38 districts in Connecticut. In a statement, High Road Schools said in part, the final report simply does not accurately reflect the academic and behavioral supports at our schools, which follow state and federal regulations and guidelines.
High Roads has been on the radar of the Office of the Child Advocate for several years because of complaints from various stakeholders about the quality of education for children.
The report also questioned the role of the Connecticut Department of Education and various school districts in overseeing the programs.
Not meaningfully examining who is teaching, what they're teaching, observing education, auditing books and records, or making sure that where deficiencies are identified, that they are meaningfully and sustainably addressed.
Egan made it clear, however, that this report was not painting all state-approved private programs with the same brush.
It is a report about High Road and what we saw there, and it is one of the state's largest players, and it is a report about the consistency and quality of oversight.
Now, we reached out to the Department of Education for comment. We expect to hear more from them coming up at 6. Reporting live at the Capitol, Dave Peck.
So that's when Connecticut, it was more like, I guess, the private, program or something in the state.
I thought it was
Yes.
cool that they have an office of child advocacy and that they're looking into they're trying to advocate for the kids with disabilities. And I was surprised to hear that a lot of teachers were not credentialed and things like that.
Yeah. Well, let's read and we'll talk about it as we go, I guess. I'll
Okay.
just read it. So it says, so that is what the video is a little summary of it. So it says, a state investigation has found that students at 8 private special education programs in Connecticut are grossly underserved. So the Connecticut Office of the Child Advocate and Disability Rights Connecticut conducted a 3-year investigation into High Road Schools, a group of 8 state-approved private special education programs owned by Specialized Education Services, Inc. So they did a 3-year investigation in High Road Schools. So it's a group of 8 state-approved private special education programs. So that's what they were doing the
Right.
investigation
And
on, High Roads.
right. So I think a lot of parents, they think it's better sometimes to send their kids to a private school that is specifically for special needs. But this is showing that they don't have to follow all the same guidelines and things as like a public school system does.
It's required to, yes. Even
You know,
though
there's
public schools sometimes don't too, but they're more required to.
yeah, they're
They say
required
required
to,
to, yeah,
and
required to.
whether they do it or not, that
Yeah,
they are investigated more often.
yes,
But I think that's why I sent this article to you, because it was about the difference and how parents like to take their kids out of public school and send them to a private school specialized for what they think for their child's needs, and it's not always the best option for them.
yeah. No, that's why to do your research. Just because it's private doesn't mean it's going to be any better. You always have to do your research
Right.
on the different schools.
Make sure your teachers are credentialed and have experience, and
Yes,
you
and
know,
funding and support,
right.
that. So let's see. The students, some of whom are as young as 5, are among the state's most vulnerable students. According to the report, it says that High World received millions of dollars of public funds each year and primarily served children from low-income school districts. So they're receiving millions of dollars from
Yeah, and
public
they're not
funds,
using them.
taxpayer. Yeah,
They're going into somebody's pocket.
yeah, that sounds very familiar. I
Because
don't know
they
more about the
aren't
money wise. Go
right.
ahead.
So in the public sector, they're required to have, a certain amount of staff per student. But in a private sector, they don't have that requirement.
No, not really. But I know when I left, there was they had one teacher come. They had one teacher take my an IA take my place to teach, and then I guess they were I guess someone came in to do to look into things. I don't know if just a yearly. I don't know if they do it every. I don't know what was going on in the school, but apparently they had to let the IA. They couldn't let the IA do it anymore. They had to find someone who was certified to teach. So that's what
Interesting.
someone I hear from. Yeah. But I feel like that's the thing that I think that goes on probably more in private schools. I think they do just hire people that they have to be exactly be certified to teach, or though. But I mean, the same thing that can almost be said with public schools too. To a certain degree, they can hire people, then work on their teaching after they get the job. I was never that lucky. They always want someone with experience. I never could do that, but I know of people who became teachers had no experience. They were hired, and then they just worked on the certification after the fact. But
Right. Yeah. They
yeah,
have
as
a
long as they
year
work,
to.
yeah, as long as they're working on it. But I guess, but I'm sure there are places where they don't even, um, or either they don't work on the certification, or they let it elapse, and they just continue to work with that. Because I know in private school, I think they are allowed to do that. I don't think. I mean, 'cause it is private. I'm not sure how that works after, because it's like 5 years. You have your teaching for 5 years, and you have to get re-certified. But
Right.
sometimes I think a private school, they sometimes will just you can let it lapse and they'll just keep the teacher.
Right.
Yeah, because it's a private school, because they don't get as investigated as much. So
Yes.
yeah, it's the thing. But also like this, I'm sure same thing like public schools, millions of dollars are coming in public funds, and they're not going where it's supposed to go.
No, it usually goes to like a pool for the whole entire district, and then
Yeah,
it's divvied out.
because we know that,
Which,
'cause we both have come from working at low income school districts, low
right,
income schools anyway, and we know that there's money to be spent, but it's not going
where it's supposed
to
to.
where it's needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's supposed to go. So. But okay, so a report released on Tuesday says they found that many of the students were grossly underserved in educational planning and service delivery. So they were not getting much services at all. Education seemed click on. It's a report about High World that we saw there, and it's one of the state's largest players. And it's a report about the consistency and quality of oversight. CT child advocate Sarah Agan said. Investigators reported consistently seeing students who were left entirely to themselves during a 30-minute or even 45-minute class period,
Oh
alone
my
in a
goodness.
cubicle or at a computer without any or only the briefest interaction with a teacher or an aide, the reporter says.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's something. This child left by themselves. So I don't know how many people, how many students are in the classroom, but I guess they're just
Right.
like left to themselves for almost a good hour, either doing this by themselves or with a computer or a tablet.
Yeah, that's
So
ridiculous.
that is ridiculous. But at the same time, that again, we can almost say I've seen that elsewhere anyway too, where teachers just give the kids computers and kind of just let them go. They don't interact much.
That's true because sometimes some kids are just
Just get
really
just
difficult
really
to
yeah. They don't
when
want to
you
try to work
take
with them.
away their
So
computer. Yeah.
they want to try to work with them. So they just let them have it. So because
Yeah.
I remember we talked about that too, where a lot of kids I was getting from in the sixth grade. I found out the year before, or a couple in my middle elementary school, they weren't. All they do is sit with a tablet all day, and they do any work.
Right.
So when
They
I came to
weren't
middle
made to
school, it
do.
was like so. Yeah, there was this. That was the norm for them. So it's sad. It's sad to see that. Especially when you have like I said, millions of public funds coming into these schools, and they're not kids are not getting the help they need.
Right. They're not getting education.
They're not getting education. There's a babysitter, which again
Right.
sounds very familiar.
Yep.
It's like it doesn't matter what state you're from. It seems like a lot of them have the same issues, public or private. That's why as a parent, it's always important that you need to advocate and do your research and into your school district and see what's going on. Because
Right.
only you guys can change things. So yeah, so like I said, that's scary too. They're left by themselves. You don't know what they're doing, and they could hurt themselves. They don't talk about what type of kids they are, but anything could happen, and with no supervision, it's scary.
Yeah. It's very scary.
So investigators reported consistently. Okay, so over the last few years that the program that we're in frequently didn't have credentialed teachers, frequently didn't background check staff that are working directly with children, frequently were now reporting school districts that were not in compliance. Egan said that's also a big oh geez, that they weren't credentialed. Which again, I mean, that's one thing if they're not credentialed right away, but if they've been teaching there for a while, they should have credentials. But I think the most scary part is background checks because this is a scary world
Yeah.
out
That's
there, especially today.
scary.
That's the like
Oh my
they're working with
goodness.
children. I mean, it could be, there could be PDF files and working with these kids, and that's
That's
the scary
scary.
part. That is scary. And then, like I said, right above, they find no one's watching these kids, so you don't know what if someone's interacting with the kids. They could anything, and if those kids are nonverbal or anything like that, they won't be able to say anything.
Right.
So it's very, very scary. So the investigation found widespread student disengagement, chronic absenteeism, failure to adequately access and support students' educational needs through individual service delivery, and gross deficiencies in the number of certified special education teachers and other credentialed education staff working with children, and systematic failure to ensure and/or document that staff has undergone employment checks and criminal and child welfare background checks. Okay, that's just what we just said. So
Yeah.
there was no student engagement, not student disengagement, like to this point on computers or this, playing with themselves, and there's no interaction.
Right, because private schools don't have to have the accountability
Yeah,
like public schools do. They don't have to have evaluations and
no,
people checking on certain requirements for teachers.
yeah,
So
that's true.
I'd
I guess I'm
be,
playing I'm playing
I'd
devil's
be,
advocate. I'm saying the same, like with public schools, almost the same thing. Even though public schools supposed to have this stuff, there's stuff what am I saying? A system set up, but at the same time, even the public school districts wiggle themselves away around that stuff too. Unfortunately,
sometimes, yeah.
yes,
That doesn't happen as often as,
well, no, because they can get in trouble. Yeah, they can get, but
yeah.
but it's certified. So let's see. Investigators know that one administrator who was not state certified told investigators students here don't have academic goals. They are here because of behavior.
Oh boy.
that sounds
So
familiar.
change they're not even in a with a goal of changing behavior. I mean,
Uh,
it
yeah,
sounds like they're just trying to babysit.
well, it sounds well again. Yeah. Well, it seems like our experience too. We got transfer kids. That seemed like what happened. They just come to us because of behavior. They don't have academic goals, right? We've heard that before from many transfer students we've gotten.
Yeah, that's true.
They just like they're here because of behavior. And then we find out really the behavior is not as wasn't as bad as we thought it would be.
Right. Yep.
And they didn't
That
have
happens a
academic
lot.
goals. They just didn't want to deal with the kids. So they just want to send them someplace else.
Right.
So it's crazy. So the reports go on to say that High Will couldn't document and it conducted basic background checks for staff, including employment checks, criminal history, or DCF background checks. I don't know what DCF is. Is Department
Department of Children and Families.
Children and Families? Okay, Children and Families. Okay,
So really, they're looking to see if they have any criminal history.
yeah. And they couldn't document that it did conduct those things. They had no documents. The High Will, they had no documents showing that. So that's not good.
No, that's terrible.
No,
That's
that's not good.
scary. Who knows? Like, I don't know. Who knows what was happening with those children and
No, and the
who
staff, no, yeah,
who was in charge of them.
yeah, that's something else. So they lacked background check documentation for more than 60 of its employees during a 3-year period. So that's a lot, more than 60. So they didn't have any background check documentation. So yeah, it's over
Mm,
60 employees in 8
wow.
schools, working with kids with special needs. So uh, it's something else.
Yeah, this day and age, you think that that would not be the case anymore.
No, you think they would even private would do their research on staff, but I don't know. So the report also found, so here it is, found more than 1,200 reported incidents of restraint and seclusion of students during the 2021-2022 school year. And it says High Road School of Hartford Primary/Middle School had a total of 543 instances of restraint alone during the 21-22 school year. So 543 instances of restraint
For one school year
one school
in
year.
8 schools. That's ridiculous.
Do you want to talk about what a restraint is in case people don't
Sure.
know?
Usually, restraint is used, or what it should be used, only when a child is endangering himself or someone else. Um, and it should be used very like um, minimal. So you're stopping the behavior, and then
Like hands
you're
off.
letting the child go. Yeah, hands off. You're bringing the child into a safe environment, and you're going to be with them. You're not closing them off from everybody else, but you're just trying to keep the child safe.
Yeah, themselves and others. So yeah, so that's 543 instances of restraint. And normally when you do a restraint, you have to write it up, right? That's at least in
Yeah.
public school, you have to
It's
write it
supposed to
up.
be
They have to put
submitted to
hands.
the state. Well, I
Yeah,
think even in a private school as well.
is it? I would think you would have to have documentation on it. Yes, anytime you put hands on a
Yeah.
child, but as we just found out, they lacked background. They had no documentation for background checks, so obviously they
Right.
weren't going to document the restraints. Plus, I guess it
Yeah.
wouldn't look too good. That doesn't look too good for the school too if they doc all those 543
Right.
instances.
If
So
right. So, which means there was probably a lot more than that.
true, that is the report. So yeah, it requires more.
Right.
And then let's see. Then they don't talk about what happened this the last school year too. So how many more on top of that? So yeah. Yeah, because he said, yeah, to treat it, there's 543 land, so 1,200 report incidents and all over for the school, different schools. So yeah, So that was just one school, 543. So yeah, it's almost half right there for that reported incident.
Right.
Let me see. So investigators are recommending that state law be amended to strengthen Connecticut State Department of Education oversight of state-approved private special education programs and annual inspections and site visits.
Well, that makes sense. They should have been doing that to begin with.
You would think, but not until something happens. Right? It's always the way. It's like an accident happens. They don't put a traffic light where needed until someone dies. It's the same thing
Well, I
here.
bet you what happened was is the parent finally complained and complained to the right people, and that's why it got investigated. So, I think parents don't realize how much power they have.
Yes, you do. The parents have more power than they realize, and that's why it's important to always know what's going on in your school and school district.
Right.
No matter if you have a child with special needs or not, you need to know. So they also
Yep.
recommend the State Department of Education consider making rules about the use of restraint and seclusion. So we don't know it too if they have to be in Connecticut, they have to be CPI certified. But I mean, I guess as we found
There's
out, they won't be certified anyway. But then we thought, like, I guess they'd have to be normally you'd have to be certified to do that too. Put hands on.
right. In Florida it's CPI. They
Yeah,
use different things in different states. It's not
yeah,
CPI everywhere, but
no
CPI is crisis prevention
prevention.
intervention, and it's a training that we go through that helps us to learn how to de-escalate a serious situation, and if needed, if last resort, we can use a restraint.
Yeah, put hands on to
Right.
keep the child safe from him or
Right.
his. So, according to the report, the State Department of Education expressed its disagreement with the report's conclusions and recommendations. Specifically, CSDE disagrees with the report to the extent that it suggests that the CSDE may have failed to adequately exercise general supervision over the high road schools.
Okay, you disagree, but you're not providing a
Okay.
counter to their claims.
Yeah, because they're saying that they failed. Because they're saying that, yeah, 'cause I guess they disagree that they failed to adequately, yeah, supervise the high road schools. But after evidence came out, you would think yes, they did.
Right.
But they're trying to, I'm sure, trying to cover their own butts because it's not
Sure.
make them look good. So, in a statement Tuesday evening, the Connecticut State Department of Education, that's the CSDE, said it received no complaints from parents, guardians, students, attorneys, parents, advocates, or local or regional school districts during the peer investigation. So, I wonder then who did complain. I wonder if there's no investigation.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, even so, you still got busted for doing all those
Yeah.
things.
Well, they didn't say anything about the staff though at the schools. They say parents, guardians, students, attorneys, parent advocates. It
The
says oh,
staff
local or
must
regional
have.
school districts. I mean, I guess that could be local school districts because they are school district employees. Well, I don't know if the school district employees is private, so the school it could be maybe someone from the staff, a whistleblower
Right.
at a school. So they say. So the statement went on to say the CSDE vigorously disagrees with the conclusions drawn by the OCA DRCT report regarding the CSDE's involvement with high road schools. Like we said, of course they do. They're not gonna verbally, not gonna actually say that they didn't do their job and
Right.
let all that happen. You're gonna have a fall guy. You're gonna find someone to take the blame. So the report claims regarding the CSDE do not comport either with the actual steps the CSDE took or with the performance of oversight responsibilities of students whose local or regional school districts have placed them at approved private special education programs or AP. Boy, who comes up with all these acronyms, right? APS, EPS. Like which high road is one? It's like I'm not like working in the school district, all the different programs, and could never get them right. And they change it. It's like, oh, what's the program I teach? I have no idea.
Yeah.
APS, EPS. So the CSDE maintains compliance with the current federal and state requirements regarding approval and monitoring oversight at APS CPS, the
Yeah, I
private
don't know what
approved
that
private
is.
special education programs. So that's what the high world schools were. They were the approved private special education program. So this year, the CSDE is attentive to concerns that are brought forth to the state's attention and engages in off-cycle modeling reviews as acknowledged by the OCA on page 52 of the report. Okay. That was a lot of mumbo jumbo. I don't really know how to make from that. Do you want to say anything about that?
No, because I'm not even sure what those things are.
No, it says it's the Connecticut State Department of Education, and then the APS EPS is the private approved private special education program.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah,
I
I
guess
don't know.
the Connecticut Department of Education is supposed to supposed to look over the private special education programs, and I guess that's what they're talking about. And they're saying I guess they do maintain compliance with the federal and state requirements for oversight of them, but I guess not if they're letting stuff like that happen. But
Right.
all right, anyway, High School Roads of Connecticut also released a statement to NBC Connecticut Tuesday. So this is the High Road School of Connecticut statement, the ones that have gotten all this trouble with no certification teachers, not certified teachers, no background checks, and no restraints. So it said High School Roads is a trusted, decades-long partner to more than 40 school districts across the state of Connecticut, devoted entirely to providing a safe, secure, and positive learning environment for students with academic, behavioral, and emotional disabilities. We hold ourselves accountable to our students, their families, our communities, our district partners, and state agencies that enable our work, and as such embrace a higher level of responsibility and transparency, which is why we actively participate in a 2-year process with OCA and DRCT. Let's see what else they say before we talk. That's a long statement. The final report simply does not accurately reflect the academic and behavioral supports at our schools, which follow state and federal regulation and guidelines. Our programs are based on serving the academic and behavioral needs of our students, making the absence of clinical services with reference to the report misleading. High road schools only accept students who require services we provide in our schools. Over the course of 2 years, High Road Schools provided comprehensive responses that outlined these inaccuracies, as well as highlighted the specific improvements we implemented as part of this process. Unfortunately, agencies refused to acknowledge this in their report.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you want to say something? I'll let you say something.
I mean, there's nothing really to say. What they're saying is that they've been, um, you know, reported on about all of these things, but they have proof that a lot of those things are not accurate, and they're not being allowed to show that, or they're not, they're just only reporting on all the bad stuff, and they're not allowing them to show, that it's not all true.
Yeah, I said they as well as highlight the specific. They haven't shown. They provide comprehensive responses and outline these acts as well as highlighted the specific improvements they've implemented as part of the process. So I guess to say like they knew what was going on and trying to improve it. But again, I don't like it's he said he said she said type thing, I guess, at this
Right.
point.
I can't imagine what you could say that doesn't, I don't know, that doesn't show that, you didn't do 60 background checks, and that you didn't have all these restraints and such. Like, what are you gonna say to
Yeah.
show, that you did a better job than what is the numbers are saying, basically?
Yeah, it's
So
hard to say.
I don't know.
Then the last thing is we remain committed to collaborating all stakeholders in the state, including OCA, DCRT, and CSTE, to ensure the highest standards of education and care for our students. And that was the article. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's upsetting that that kind of stuff still goes on, and it's good to know that somebody's checking in on them.
yeah. And
Yeah.
appreciate anyone watching this. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks for watching. Bye.